And we are back for segment 2 of Marty's Illegal Stick. And I tell you, we're going to bring Roy in just a second. But first, I just want to get Breakaway Trivia in real quick.
Okay.
And I'm going to see if you can answer this one.
Oh, it's going to fall on me, huh?
Yes, exactly. What I want to know is, who holds the NHL record for most shots on goal in a career?
Are you trying to trick me?
No.
Because you know my favorite.
Yeah, go ahead and say it.
Gretzky.
No.
Gordie Howe.
No. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna save the answer because I'm gonna see if our guest can get it. See what I did there? Huh?
Yeah.
Our guest is the voice of the Berglund Center for the Roanoke Rail Yard Dawgs of the Southern Professional Hockey League. He's making his second appearance on the show. It's Mr. Roy Chambers. Roy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic, sir. Any idea who the answer is for Breakaway Trivia?
I'm going to go someone a little more modern and say Ovechkin.
It's close. That's close. Ray Bourque.
Huh?
He's got 6,209 shots on goal. Ovechkin's like under 200 away from him. So
doesn't surprise me anyway.
The way he shoots the puck,
catch Wayne.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, actually, Gretzky's 8th on that list.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like 1,000 behind Bourque.
1,000.
1,000 shots on goal behind. So what's that? He definitely chose his shots well. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So Roy, how you been?
Doing well. We got to the end of the season here, and playoffs start this week. Actually, first set of games. There's 3 games tonight in the league. Roanoke is on the road down in Knoxville tonight, taking on the regular season champs down in their barn, and we'll be back in action here Saturday night for game 2 in the Berglund Center back in Roanoke.
Nice. So that's the Knoxville Ice Bears.
Yes, correct.
So did the Ice Bears run away with the league in the regular season, or was it pretty close? Or
it was they were near the top all year. We started off the year against them and lost a couple games in overtime and a shootout, and then it was pretty much a battle between them and Huntsville all year long for first place until Peoria got hot and slid up in there. And so Peoria wound up finishing 3rd, and Huntsville finished 2nd. It came down to the last 4 games before it was decided.
Wow, and that's awesome. And it's always like that close finish to the end. Because sometimes when you get a team that's run away with it, it's like, okay, that's a given,
right.
You know?
Yeah, and Roanoke did help Knoxville out a little bit by beating Huntsville the second to last week of the season. And then
well, see, there you go. They owe you guys one.
I'm sorry?
They owe you guys one.
That's right. Yeah, but I don't think so based on the games, because we finished up our home games this year with them, and it wasn't the most sportsmanlike of contests, especially on Saturday night. But it's been interesting when we play them. I mean, they've got a lot of skill. They can play basically any way they want to. They can play finesse game. They can play a physical game if they need to. But they've got a head coach who's very experienced in this league, and they're very well prepared when it comes to playoff time. So they know what they're going to do. They haven't missed the playoffs in 16 years in the SPHL.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. That really is.
Yep.
So you knew I was going to ask you about it. I mean, that's I have to tell you, I have to preface this by saying the Southern Professional Hockey League has some of the most passionate fans around. It is. I'm a part of a couple of their Facebook groups, and it is just awesome seeing fans get so passionate about their teams, and I love it. I do. But yeah, you were just referring to a dust up, shall we say?
Yeah.
That happened on Saturday night. So what exactly happened?
Well, the dust up I was talking about was per se our home game against Knoxville on Saturday night. Just got really physical, really chippy, really quick, and Roanoke, one of their wingers, was kind of tackled from behind, had face first into the ice, didn't come back the rest of the game, and then there was a few bells that had to be answered on Roanoke's side that they were trying to avenge a little bit of that, and there was some more of the blood spilt on the ice, and wasn't very friendly, and it led to some shots fired this week in the media, especially coming out of Knoxville. Their coach basically went on their local TV down there and called Roanoke a undisciplined, dirty team. So I think, last time I was on the show, we talked about the challenge round that they did to try to do the playoffs a few years ago, trying to get bulletin board material. And this year they went back to the standard 1-8 type regular seeding matchups. And I think there's been more bulletin board material back in the regular than there was they thought they were going to get with the challenge series set up.
So it worked out the way everybody wanted it to after all.
I guess so, yeah. But the other one I think you're talking about was our game last weekend down in Fayetteville to close out the regular season. I do know that there were quite a few Roanoke fans that went down to watch the game. Fayetteville is about 4 hours away. And I guess they were letting their allegiance be known, especially when the Dogs had a lead going into the third, and then came back and tied it, went into overtime, and they won. Fayetteville wound up winning in a shootout, and their goaltender had some sign language, shall we say, for some of the fans, and it was caught on the live cam and all that good stuff. So, which I guess started a trend because I saw last night, I guess somebody in the NHL did it too.
So you guys are just trendsetters. That's all.
I guess. I don't know. But it's very different atmosphere, the last month and a half of the season. Like you said, all these fan bases are passionate and like to chirp each other just as much as the players do. So it just kind of bleeds all together into one big allegiance, and it makes it interesting to watch. It makes it fun to watch. It won't be boring by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it doesn't. And that's what makes it so much fun. And the SPHL is actually made up of 11 teams. So the top 8 teams make the playoffs. So if I'm correct, let's see, Vermilion County, Birmingham, and Macon did not make it in.
Those 3 did not make it in. Vermilion County was an expansion team, so was their first year trying to get their they were kind of a last-minute entry after one of their team, their prior team, had left. So they jumped into the league pretty quick and didn't have from the things I've read, via Facebook groups and things like that, they didn't have a lot of time to necessarily prepare a roster per se. It was kind of a quick,
kind of like a thrown together kind of thing.
Recruit players real quick type deal. And I know they had a lot of roster turnover. They worked with a lot of teams. On trades and stuff like that, trying to build a better product to make it a little bit more competitive throughout the year. So as much as they chirp on each other, they do watch out for each other in the league as well too. So, but then Macon was kind of a surprise this year because of they won the COVID championship last year, and for them not to make the playoffs this year was kind of a shock. But that's just sometimes the way things go in this league between injuries and call-ups and things like that. You just don't know how those things are going to affect you and affect your play throughout the year. Right.
And actually, Macon, for the listeners here, obviously we know that they had signed Jamie Bussell, Utica Pioneer, who just graduated. So, that's another exposure for the SPHL up here because, like I've told you 100 times, I mean, this league is so much fun. We want to do everything we can to spread the word up here because, like I said, it's a great league. It really is. And so the playoff matchups. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and it does seem like the footprint. They're not grabbing up any market they can. They do their due diligence to make sure it's going to work. But obviously, Vermilion County and all of them are kind of in the northern part of the country in the Midwest. I'm sure they're potentially looking into markets closer to your area, potentially to kind of, maybe in the Ohio area or maybe Western Pennsylvania or something like that to help kind of get some more competition around and cut down on some of these travel issues that they have with these longer bus trips.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And with Vermilion County, that makes 11 teams, like I said. So, I mean, it would make sense for the league to actually go to 12 just to balance things out a little bit, I would think.
Yeah. It would, but again, like I said, this league doesn't just kind of they do the research into the markets to make sure it's not going to be a 1, 2, or 3 year type commitment. They want to make sure that it lasts, not only for the league but for the fan base that city is going to have, as far as making sure they have the support to make them viable and keep the league as strong as it can be.
And, that is so smart on the league's end. It really is, because, it's easy enough to chase the quick buck. If you got somebody who's willing to pay a quick expansion fee for, you've seen it in pro. It's not just hockey, but you've seen it in pro sports where you get these, millionaires or billionaires. Oh, this looks like fun. I'll buy a team, put them in, and then they get bored with it 2-3 years later, and then the team goes down the tubes, and it's a bad look for everybody involved. So that is just so smart on the SPHL's part.
Yeah. And our fans in Roanoke know exactly how that feels with the 1 year that we had the Roanoke Valley Vipers in the UHL. They came in, they thought they were going to have a good fan base to draw off of. And again, it was kind of one of those quick situations. It was kind of thrown together really quick. And the team folded with, after one season of play. And then Roanoke didn't have a team for over a decade. So, that can kind of leave a bad name if something happens, with other leagues. When you look into that, well, why didn't this one succeed? Type deal. Is the interest not there anymore, or something to that effect? So,
absolutely.
With the money that's involved with it today and things like that, if they don't do their due diligence, it's probably not something you may not want to totally jump into and be involved with either. So it's kind of protection on both sides.
Right. And it just, like I said, it makes so much sense. So the playoff matches, we just talked about Knoxville and Roanoke. So the other ones are, let's see, Huntsville that you had just talked about. They're the number 2 seed going against the Evansville Thunderbolts.
Yes.
And then there's the aforementioned Fayetteville Marksmen facing the number 5 Quad City Storm. And then the number 3 Peoria Rivermen versus the number 6 Pensacola Ice Flyers.
Yes.
So the opening rounds are best of 3, you said, correct?
The entire playoff series is the best throughout the entire playoffs. It's the best of 3. There is the option in the championship game matchup to go best of 5, but I've never seen that actually taken as an option. They usually try to get it done and over with.
Wow, that's cool
for the summer. Yeah,
that's really cool though. I mean, could you imagine that? Like if you had 2 teams that really hated each other?
Yeah,
said no, we want to drag this out as long as possible. That's it.
But it's an interesting format too, especially with some of the travel issues. I mean, with our series with Knoxville being 4 hours down the road, we are a typical 1-1-1. But a lot of times, if there's going to be a long distance of travel, they'll do usually the lower seed will get the first game at home, and then the higher seed will schedule the last 2, the third, obviously the second, and if so, the third, if necessary, at home to kind of have back to back. Typically, those first games are played in the middle of the week, and 2 and 3 are usually put on the weekend to kind of get a potential for a bigger crowd to have to fight. Kids going to school next morning, or people getting off work late, etc. So, I was actually kind of surprised that when I was informed last week of our schedule that we were actually scheduled for Saturday. I was expected to be in the week for us.
Really? Oh, but still, that's great though to be able to get a weekend game.
Yes, absolutely.
It's everything,
And plus, with the 4 hour turnaround, game 3, if necessary, we played on Sunday back in Knoxville.
So get game's over, get on the bus and head on down the road.
Yeah, usually you have a week to get the series done.
Right, and that makes sense too. Yeah. But I will say, I mean, I'm still kind of hung up on that whole the championship being decided, whether it's going to be a 3-game or a 5-game series. And I'll be honest with you, I am very surprised that ownership doesn't say, no, we're going to play 5 because of the potential for extra 2 games of gate revenue.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really had discussions with our ownership group or anything like that. If that would ever be the option, I'm sure they have their reasons. Taking a semi-educated guess. Obviously, the deeper in the playoffs you can obviously get more and more intense. There's more room for more injuries and medical expenses to the team and things like that. The expense also, with the travel and hotels and all that. Those would be my 2 educated guesses, and also too, probably half these players on these rosters are first or second year players, and they may not have that much in the tank to where
sure
coming out of college play that many games at that intensity level, spread out over the season there. So that may have a little bit of a player safety concern as well too. For if you're worn down, you're obviously more susceptible to injury as well too.
You bring up a fantastic point there because, and it's funny you say that because I was looking at the Utica Comets. They're our local RAHL team here, and they actually have 11 skaters that haven't played an over 60 game professional season yet.
Right.
They played, juniors before COVID. They played a full, 60, 72 game schedule, which they do have that experience. But for a lot of these players, it's been over 2 years since they've really played a full schedule of anything.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with a lot of these guys. I mean, half the teams played last year in the league, with the COVID shortened season. And then some of them did go down and play in the SPHL, just to kind of keep their conditioning up. I think a lot of the veteran guys that weren't picked up by the 5 remaining teams in the league did that just to kind of realize that was probably the best way they're going to be able to have their legs under them when they went back to their normal teams once COVID was over.
Right. And but I mean, it's been like that for everybody in every league, every player. It's just
exactly.
But I will say it's nice. It's so nice, knock on wood, to see things kind of just getting back to normal, the way we're used to it, the way we love it. And let's just hope it keeps going.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine what those guys were like, when they were playing in the bubble in Toronto a couple of years ago, back in 2020, and then the limited capacity, arenas last year in the NHL and such. I could only imagine. I've been to a couple baseball games during the day. I've worked a couple baseball games during the day, and with the ballpark being that quiet, it was very eerie, and I wasn't even out there, out on the field. I was doing whatever I had to do, and it was just so strange. It just didn't feel natural.
Yeah. So, you almost hope for pumped in crowd noise.
Yeah, exactly.
You're sitting there with your iPhone looking at YouTube crowd noise.
That's right. Yeah. So, but I'm glad, and of course, a lot of that stuff is kept under wraps and things like that for HIPAA reasons and things like that.
Sure,
but
absolutely.
I can't recall too much issues this year through the league of games having to be scheduled in mass because of postponements or something like that due to COVID.
Right.
So I think they did pretty well. I know here in Roanoke they didn't do the post game autograph sessions like they do every night. They did one massive one on the last home game when the entire team was out on the concourse. So that was where people got their chance to get most of their autographs, unless they purchased one of their jerseys, specialty jerseys during the auctions.
Right. That's
kind of limit that exposure a little bit.
Yep, exactly. But like I said, step by step,
we're
getting back to normal. So heading into your big playoff series, any particular Rail Yard Dawgs we should be looking out for?
We've got a couple guys that are pretty hot. We got Nick Ford back from his call up in Jacksonville. About 7 games to go in regular season, and the 4 games at home, he was all over the score sheet. We got some veteran guys: Mac Jansen, Jeff Jones. Mac was pretty hot the last 4 games at home. He got, what was it? I think it was against Knoxville. He had 3 goals in 2 nights, a couple of assists. So, and he, there were some records set too for most franchise points in a career. Jeff Jones did that, passed our captain for most points. He passed for most goals earlier in the season with the same person. Those guys definitely are good on the offensive end. We got some of our physical guys back from either their call-ups or from injury as well too. And then we got, of course, Austin Rodebush in goal right now. He's been with us all season. Last year, he had a lights-out performance in the COVID-shortened season for, actually, of all teams, Knoxville. And then we also brought in a veteran goaltender by the name of Sammy Bedard that has been playing pretty well for us. He got the majority of the starts to get back into his game shape here towards the end of the season once he signed with us. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he at one time played for Knoxville, and he's a little more well-traveled through the league, I believe. But I think he was there as well too at one point. So all in all, I mean, if you go up and down the roster and you take out that slide that we went into while we were on that 3-week road trip and a couple weeks before that, and I'm not the only one that's saying it. Other fans are saying if you take that chunk out where we went through that losing streak, between undisciplined play at some nights or couldn't put three periods of hockey together, or whatever the case may be, some of the call-ups coming up through again. Roanoke is much better than an 8th seed. If you take out that stretch and if you could pick out that 1 month of a block out and get rid of it to help your seeding, I mean, Roanoke would be a lot higher, I think, than where they were. So they play a very good team game. There's not really, if you focus on 1 or 2 players, somebody else can come back and sneak one by and get it in that just as easy. So.
And that's the thing too. Well, the playoffs, man. If you get hot at the right time coming in, or
right.
like with you guys playing those 3-game series, anything can happen in those 3-game series. So
exactly,
there it is.
We got off that slide. I think it was the last 9 games of the year. I think we were 5-3 1-1. And really the only other team that was hotter was Knoxville. They went 9-1 in their last 10 games to finish out the season.
Wow.
Peoria went on that hot streak at the same time we did back around the holidays. We cooled off. They kept going, pushed their way up past us, and worked themselves all the way up to number 1 for, I think, a week, and then fell off, and they've kind of cooled off their last few games. So it'll be an interesting series between them and Pensacola. I think Pensacola is probably the most underrated, most quiet team you're not hearing a lot about on the message boards. Their fans aren't out there, hyping them up like it seems like the Peorias and the Huntsvilles and Knoxvilles and Fayetteville are doing. But that's going to be, I think, going to be an interesting matchup right there. That 3-6 combo right there. I think that's going to be a good one. And you can't sleep on Evansville. Evansville kind of put it together as well too towards the end of the year, but they did lose their number 1 goaltender to injury in the last week of the season. So the guy they had on the backup last I saw only had played like 8 games and had a sub-900 save percentage. So he's got his work cut out for him against a couple of the award winners that have been announced so far playing for Peoria. So
yeah,
maybe for Huntsville. I'm sorry, they're playing for Huntsville. Sorry, Huntsville's got a pretty balanced attack too. So
well, I tell you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That's awesome. And that's it looks like each series has something a little bit different to offer. Yes,
it does. It does. You've got with Huntsville, you've got a great goaltender, Hunter Vorva. He is not off his game very often, and we've actually been able to give him a couple of his few losses this season with Roanoke. And then you've got they're a very they're another team that's very speed but can play physical if you want to drag them down to the physical side as well too. So I think it's kind of getting to be like college basketball. I think there's really a lot of parity when it comes playoff time, unless somebody just blatantly sneaks in at number 8. With all these teams, getting their call-ups and that kind of stuff, and then getting guys back right before the playoff push, it changes what you see during the regular season. So I think there's a lot of parity, and I wouldn't be surprised if 2 of the lower seeds make it out of the first round, to be honest with you.
Well, that's the great thing about the playoffs. As soon as they start, everybody's 0-0. That's
exactly.
Exactly. So I know we talked about this the last time you were on, but just as a reminder, so you're from Morris, New York.
Yes,
that's the connection. Correct. The connection to Central New York, and one of our listeners, and him, Barry Shelley.
Yes, sir.
Great guy. He messaged me earlier. He says, obviously say hi.
Yes.
And you guys were just a few years apart, I guess, growing up in Morris.
Yes. Yeah.
And,
he went to school with one of my junior varsity basketball coaches. So.
Right. That's what he was saying. Yep. And he just kind of wanted to remind everybody just how it is that you got from Morris, New York, to being the voice of the Berglund Center in Roanoke, Virginia.
Well, I moved to Morris, New York in 1980 from the Roanoke area. after a death in the family. Mom wanted to be close to her family, so we moved to Morris. We stayed there until I graduated. And then I went to Cortland State for a year, and then came back to Virginia because my parents had moved back down here.
Mhm.
And then, like I mentioned on the last show, I went to a couple hockey games here and there. Went down, saw the Whalers when they were in Binghamton, and went out to Colgate University for a hockey game out there. And I enjoyed watching the hockey games at Cortland as well, too. The year I was there, had a couple guys on the club team that lived across from me in the dorm, so always went to support them. And my second semester roommate went to high school and started varsity goaltender, so we are always there at those games too. But my real passion for hockey really didn't develop until I moved back to Virginia, believe it or not. And got to watching Roanoke Express in the SPHL days and fell in love with it, and found an opening one year when they were hiring game night staff, and sold programs and did the on ice intermission stuff in between periods. Next year, jumped up, started basically being the arena DJ. When the first year we actually used computers instead of tape decks, and so I kind of ran with that system. And then after Slam Duncan left to go to Nashville, and he wound up being an in-game host down in Nashville for a while for the Predators. I kind of slid over into his chair because I kind of knew how the system operated, and run with it ever since. So
Nice. So I got to ask you then, when you were the house DJ, what was your favorite pump up song to play?
Oh, now you're making me go back a little bit here. This was mid to late 90s. I don't know. There were so many. That was when kind of some of this techno stuff that the players like now is coming out. So there was a rave scene in the movie Blade.
Okay.
That in the original Blade movie, that was always one of my favorites. It just kind of had a good drive, hard and beat. You could clap to it, not even knowing the song, things like that. Of course, being Roanoke Express, one that was probably overplayed a ton was Come and Ride the Train.
Yep.
City GJs.
You were probably sick of that song after a while.
For a while there, it was like anything with a train in the title, we played it. Train Kept Rolling by Aerosmith. Crazy Train, we still use that one. Going out to the
Train.
And Train by Barefoot. I could find some of the Train that was upbeat and going. It was usually put in there at some point in time during those days. But and nowadays, pretty much it's with what we're using here. We kind of model ourselves after what they're doing in NHL rinks. So we kind of, we still use the rock and country and stuff like that, but a lot of it is more the European sound and the techno club type sound, because it seems like a lot of the players, especially the international players, really enjoy that side of it. And if that gets their juices flowing a little bit more, hey, we'll keep it going as long as they want it. So
you pick up the win, the end justifies the means, my friend.
That's right. So, but it was a good time, and it's been a good experience. It's actually Saturday night is going to be my 300th professional hockey game as a public address announcer.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. The team honored me on our last home game for number 299 with a ceremonial puck drop, and
really
gave a little it was a total surprise. I had no idea they were going to do it. Our internet broadcaster was asking me stats about it. He said, I just wanted to be sure, and he prefaced it, I just want to be sure I got the stats right, so I give you a shout out over the broadcast, things like that. So we're going through everything, and going through the script, and of course I get the script when I get there, go through it, make sure I understand everything that's going on. We kind of went through that process last time I was on the show, but nothing was in there about that or anything like that. So we're rolling through, we're doing our pregame stuff, get ready to introduce the mascots, the lights going down. DJ tells me, when you're done here, you need to run down and get with Nikki, who is our president of operations for our team, down at the Olympia entrance. He needs to talk to you. I'm like, really?
What I do now?
I'm like, couldn't it wait maybe until after, I got all this stuff I've got to do to get to the game started. I could understand we could cover for, 5 minutes or something like that, but I really had to run downstairs and talk about something that might have been done wrong or needed to be changed or something like that. But, and he's like, yeah. And he's like, you need to run, not walk. You need to run down there. I'm like, what? I was like, come on now. It's like, he's like, as soon as you introduce the bench staff, you need to run down there. I'm like, what about the national anthem? What about the puck drop? Because we had a sponsor for the game that night, and they were in there as a puck dropper. And he's like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. And then I was like, okay, I think I may know what's going on. So I did what I was told. I introduced the bench staff. I got up, and of course, I kind of described our situation at Berglund Center. It's a whole flight of stairs. It's about 25 feet up to the top. And I get to the top of the steps, and the vice president, Alexander Martin's waiting for me down there at the bottom of the steps. I come running down the steps. I'm feeling awkward. I don't, it's the national anthem. We're getting ready to do the national anthem. You don't run through the arena. I've still got my hat on, all this kind of stuff. So you see at the bottom of the steps, and we're literally running through the outer concourse and running down to the ice level. She says, your puck drop number 2. And I was like, okay. So, and it was a very nice surprise. And I guess they took some of my pictures I've taken over the years with some of the staff and stuff in the press box, put up on the video board while Joe was reading the actual write-up for everything. And I must have looked nervous because Travis Armstrong, our captain's like, how you doing? You doing all right? I'm like, yeah, I think so. So it was different. It had been a while since I'd actually been out in down at ice level kind of eyes on me, because PA announcers are always heard but seldom seen. That's kind of the
You're sitting here
in the industry.
If you're in the crowd, you're wondering, where are they? They're like the Phantom of the Opera. Where are they?
That's right, exactly. Just you're kind of the voice from above type deal. So it was different. And then of course running right back up, I had to do the normal intro that I do to kind of the last minute hype up crowd that brings the lights back up from ringside, and ran back up there and got to the top of the steps. I sat down. I looked over at Joe. He's like, I got the first 3 or 4 breaks. So it's like, he said sweat was just dripping off on me, and I was panting for breath. I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to read anything for a couple minutes here.
You do that because I got to find an oxygen tank. Thanks.
That's right. Exactly. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. 40 hit me hard, and running up those steps like that at 50, that's not what I expected to be doing at 50 years old. I usually just walk up. So, it's always fun to work for an organization like Roanoke has. I mean, the people that have gone on and moved on after the year and stuff like that, they've always done some type of recognition, and those were with more people that dealt with the public in general and things like that. We had a director of ticket operation that was here for 3 years. When he went back home to the Midwest, he had a pretty good farewell night. Of course, he was a crowd favorite, and just from his personality, and he got involved with t-shirt tosses. I mean, he gave the back row at anywhere in the arena from the ice with his arm. So he was a real crowd favorite, things like that. So to be recognized as someone that's not necessarily in the public eye that much, just more in the public ear, it was very humbling and very appreciative of what they thought I brought and contributed to the franchise in 5 years. So.
Well, that's really great, though. I mean, congratulations. That's awesome. That really is.
So
I'm glad you brought that up because you didn't say that before.
No.
It was a surprise. Just as much as it was a surprise to you, it was a surprise for us too. So
right, exactly.
There you go.
And I kind of got going down that path and started doing the math about a month or 2 ago, because one of my PA brothers in the NHL had said this is my 300th game or something like that with the San Jose Sharks, and I got to thinking and I started doing the math, and I was like, well, I'll be darned if I didn't miss the one game back in the first season because of the flu. The last home game of the year would have been number 300.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to kind of hit that benchmark. I mean, it won't buy me a cup of coffee at McDonald's or anything, but as much as I enjoy doing this job and things like that, I think it's pretty neat that I've had the opportunity to get to that mark as well.
Oh, certainly. That is great, though. That's congratulations again, man. That's totally awesome.
And it is kind of ironic, but because I am actually leaving the team after this season.
Really?
I haven't spread that too much either, but
where are you going?
I'm actually coming back towards your direction.
Coming back to where?
Coming back your direction. I'm gonna
really?
I'm going to be moving back to upstate New York. I'll be down in the Binghamton area, living down there, and that way
no kidding.
Closer to family. Kind of be within an hour's distance. In case mom needs help with something like that. It's kind of hard to help her out some days. When
sure.
Some things pop up, obviously, unexpected stuff pops up.
I'll tell you what, then, if you're going to be back in the Binghamton area, you know what that means, right?
Oh,
it means, hey, we're going to have to meet at Barry Shelley's Rink of Dreams sometime.
Yes, very much
Without a shadow of a doubt. And it also means that you got to meet us at a UK Comets game, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is one thing I'm very excited about. If I don't have the chance to find a job to continue what I'm doing now with a hockey team or some way in some form, at least I will have numerous opportunities within a 2-hour radius to catch hockey.
Absolutely.
I've growing up, playing basketball in high school and things like that. Obviously, college basketball used to be my favorite sport, but ice hockey is by far. I've watched more hockey games this year than I did in March Madness, so it's just kind of taken over. But
it tends to do that.
Yeah. So with 3 AHL teams within an hour radius of Binghamton.
Yeah.
And then of course Buffalo is only a 3.5 hour drive from Binghamton as well too. Rochester's about 3 hours away as well. So it'll be fun. And then, like you said, like we talked last time, there's a lot of good college hockey that feed into this league that I'm used to seeing all the time.
Absolutely.
Through the SUNY system as well too. So and Utica and Elmira and places like that. So it'll be a nice place to settle down and kind of be in the middle of all that action and kind of pick and choose. All right, well, this will be a good matchup, and I definitely need to come up and check out a Pioneers game because I haven't done that yet as well too.
Oh, absolutely. And you got Cornell right there. It's
exactly.
It's going to be Colgate right up the road. I mean, definitely we'll definitely be seeing more of you then.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm in the process of getting things packed up and things like that. So worst case scenario, if I told the team that I'm committed through the entire playoff run. So if they go through the championship series, I'll be up there probably the last day of April. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, best of luck in that playoff run. You guys looking to make a run all the way to the President's Cup. So
That's right. That would be a nice feather on the end of the career of the Dogs, is to see them raise that cup a little bit. So
that would be cool. It would be so cool. And Roy, thanks for coming back on and keeping us updated with what's going on down there. Because like I said, I just love this league. It is so much. It's just so fun to keep track of. You can keep track of it at thesphl.com. They're all over social media. You got Facebook, Twitter. If you look up the SPHL on YouTube, there's videos. The Roanoke Rail Yard Dawgs, they're on Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. So
all over the place. I think the only one they don't do right now is TikTok. So
neither do we. So
yeah. But
my days of dancing on camera are over. So
exactly. But I mean, they're definitely prevalent on social media, so it's easy to cover them throughout the league. And of course, if you're really interested in checking it out, there's always the Hockey TV. The playoffs are all on Hockey TV as well too. So
that's right.
You see some good hockey. You might see some strange arenas just for scheduling conflicts. Sometimes playoff games are played in practice arenas, but it doesn't.
Well, if you tune into a game,
it doesn't change the pace of play. So
exactly. And ask the Arizona Coyotes because they're going to be going through that next season. So
exactly, yeah. It's good enough if it's good enough for the NHL, it's good enough for the SPHL too, right?
That's right. There you go. Well, Roy, once again, thank you so much for coming back on. We really appreciate it. And stay in touch. And like I said, if you
I
need
will.
any help with the move or anything like that, we'll do everything we can to help you out. And
I appreciate
otherwise,
it. And don't forget, you guys still said something about taking a road trip to Roanoke. I can
absolutely.
make that trip with you and give you the insiders tour a little bit. Make sure you catch a game in Roanoke the right way.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Absolutely.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite once again. And we'll catch you at a later date.
Absolutely, Roy. Thank you so much.
All
Appreciate
right.
it, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good
All right.
evening.
Take care. We'll see you. Roy Chambers, man, I love that SPHL. I can't help it. I really do.
Because
It's just so cool. It is a cool league. It really is.
We got a good league here. We're
Exactly. Well, yes, of course we do. But, it's just one of those leagues that not a lot of people have heard of,
Yeah.
at least up here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, seriously, passionate fan base, you betcha.
good. Well, Rail Yard Dawgs.
Yeah, hey.
I mean,
Exactly. So, Dave, I'm going to close the show with a few happy birthdays because we didn't get to those. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So, first of all, happy birthday to, let's see, Neil Brady, former Utica Devil, turned 54 on Tuesday. Happy birthday to Jason McBain. Jason McBain turned 48 on Tuesday. He played 9 games for the Hartford Whalers from 1995 to 1997. And you want to know why Jason McBain's important and on our happy birthday list? He was born in Ely, New York,
oh, really?
making him the only NHL player to have ever been born in Hartford County.
Nice.
Bet you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
See, I should have had that be Breakaway Trivia.
Gretzky.
Yeah, there you go. Also, a happy birthday to Tom Laidlaw. Tom turned 64 this Friday. Remember when he was on the show? He was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
No, it was, yeah.
He was just a cool guy to talk to.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I pulled this one up just for you because I think you'd find this entertaining. You ready for this?
All right.
Happy birthday to Peanuts O'Flaherty.
Okay.
Peanuts would have been 104 on Sunday.
And his chest would have been on fire.
He did play 21 games for the Brooklyn and New York Americans back in 1941 and 42. I just figured for you would love the name Peanuts O'Flaherty.
I do. I like that.
They just don't make them like peanuts anymore.
It's better than Okanokanaka.
Ukapekalukanen? Nobody will ever beat that. See?
I wanted you to say that.
There, you did it again. You
Yeah,
suckered me right in.
How many times this show?
Yeah, well, what you got to do? You got to come up with a counter.
I
Put it on the screen.
What kind?
Just a little Ukapekalukanen counter.
Oh, geez. No.
No?
No.
Come on. Remember that show Pee Wee's Playhouse? It could be like Pee Wee's Playhouse. Every time we say Ukapekalukanen, you have to scream.
Yeah. No. Not going to happen.
Ah, boy. Well, you know what, Dave? I think we've had enough fun for this week.
Yeah. I'm sure of
Time
that.
for us to hit the trails. Oh, boy. But you know what? You can always check us out at martysillegalstick.com. If you're looking for more sports coverage, you can go to mylittlefalls.com. Right? You can also check out Marty's Illegal Stick on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. If you check us out on YouTube, please hit subscribe. Same thing with My Little Falls. Check us out there. Hit subscribe if you would, please. We appreciate it. All right. That's all the time we got for this week. We appreciate you listening. We thank Brendan Miller once again for coming on. We thank Roy Chambers once again for coming on. And of course, thank you, Dave the Save, for hitting all the right buttons as you always do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We will see you guys all next week. Thanks again for listening. Have a good one.